However, I feel like based on some of the remarks that have been made lately, and again, I think you know my stand on lawmakers. I agree with a little bit of what they do, but for the most part, I don't really agree with a lot of what lawmakers do. I think most lawmakers are way too extreme for me. I'm just being real with you, okay? Doesn't matter which side of the aisle they're on. I feel like a lot of them are just very, very extreme. Now, Bernie Sanders, I would say, is one of these individuals. Some of the things that he's done, I feel like, that's probably pretty good. Right? For example, like the Social Security Expansion Act that would implement that $200 raise to benefits that we've talked about for years, I feel like, hey, that's a good thing. That was mostly spearheaded by Bernie Sanders. I like it. That would help out a lot of people. There's also been many other things that I'm like, dude, that's like way too far out there. That's just not going to work. I don't agree with that, right? But I feel like I may be transitioning a little bit. I'm maybe agreeing with Bernie Sanders for a second here. Let's pop this article up right here. Let's talk through the details on this. All right, so President was recently out in an interview, and he indicated that this is the strongest and best economy in the history. Okay, that's why I asked you at the beginning of the video. Do you feel like that is accurate? Is this the best economy in the history of this country or in the history of the world? Based on what I'm seeing out there, based on what we're all experiencing, I don't think that that's all that accurate. Well, Bernie Sanders, as you can imagine, because he remarks on almost everything, he came out and he was basically saying 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck. And he said, remark, and you can see it here in this article, he indicated that if this is the best economy in the history of the world or of this country, then God, please help us. And I'm like, hey, I feel like I might be transitioning into maybe agreeing with Bernie Sanders a little bit here. And again, I generally don't agree with any lawmaker more than like a little tiny bit, right? But in this situation, I'm like, I kind of agree with Bernie Sanders. I don't feel like this is the best economy. Now, to be fair, again, not taking sides here politically, this is nothing against the current administration or the previous administration, nothing like that. This is just different cycles within the economy. The economy goes in different cycles. We know this, right? There are definitely times in the economy where it booms and it's very, very good. There's prosperity everywhere and it's easier times. There's certainly other times like what we're going through now where it's definitely not as easy. We go through very bad and nasty recessions, which many people are suggesting we're on the brink of entering into. Again, it's been a very slow process. And then there's times that we come out of that. Think of a recession like seasons, right? We go through like 4 seasons of the year. There's spring, summer, winter, and fall, right? Summer would be like the heydays, right? The booming economy, things are great. The winter's like a deep, dark recession. And then obviously spring and fall, those types of transitionary periods. But again, I don't feel like we are necessarily in a boom time. Certainly not for the vast majority of the population. For some people, and we've been talking about this for a while, and like they've been saying for years, which is we're in this K-shaped economy, right? K being, a portion of the economy is going up and to the right, doing very, very well. Financially, there's this wealth effect. Everybody feels like they're doing great, right? They're spending all kinds of money. And then another huge percentage of the population is on the lower side of the K going down and to the right, like the shape of a K, obviously, and that are feeling like, hey, this is getting worse and worse all the time. Every day, every week, every month that goes by is getting worse. The financial struggle, the financial strain, the financial hardship that we're experiencing right now is getting worse and worse and worse. That's the lower portion of the K. And the vast majority of the population is in that lower portion of the K, and again, it's only a small percentage of the population, like the top 10% of the population, the highest income earners that are at the top portion of that K saying, yeah, this is great, this is awesome, right? We're doing great financially. It doesn't matter what the time is during the economic times. It doesn't really matter. There's always going to be a huge percentage of the population that's, not doing all that great or that's, struggling. And there's always going to be a small percentage. And again, it could be 3%, 5%, 10%, 20, 25%, whatever it happens to be. There's always going to be a portion of the economy and a portion of the American population that's doing really good regardless of the times, right? So anyway, that's why I kind of want to mention here in this video is like, where are you on this spectrum, right? I think we can look at it probably like somewhat as a spectrum, like where are we on this thing? Are we extremes to one side or the other? Like, are we doing very, very good financially? I think we could easily argue that that is not the case for the vast majority of the population, unless everything that we're reading out there and everything that we're seeing is just completely inaccurate. I don't really think that's the case. I mean, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I see a ton of reports every single week, articles. I don't really talk about them a ton. I mean, I do make some videos here and there talking about it, but for the most part, there's so many of them that it's like there's no reason to make, 50 videos a week talking about this, basically the same article that comes out saying, yeah, the American people are struggling financially, right? But anyway, that's kind of why I started this video the way that I did. Where are we at? Are we during this massive economic boom time and the greatest and the best economy in the history of this country or the history of the world? Or are we on the other side where we're like sliding down this muddy slope and it's like, when is this going to end? It's nasty. We don't want to keep doing this. Everybody's struggling. Where are we currently at with this? Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this with what Bernie Sanders said as well, which is if this is the best economy, in history, then God please help us, right? Let me know what you think about that statement. And again, I just want to make it very clear. And again, if you've been watching the videos for any length of time, I think you recognize this. I am very critical of these lawmakers. I rarely agree with them for the most part because I think they're just